And we're live. Welcome to Talking Providence episode. What is it, man?
4. Wow, we've done 4 of these. Wow. Wild.
Would you look at
just
that?
Incremental growth, right? You do 1 and then you do 2 and then bada bing, bada boom. Now we're at 4. Soon we'll be at
And
5.
as much as we're into just getting down to business, I do want to point out that it's Tank Top Tuesday, hence the tank top, which won't mean anything if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
We need to sort out, but
I need to sort out that not one falls directly onto my plate.
Okay.
So we'll get on that one. But yeah, I say we ramble for a couple minutes here. Noah, what'd you get up to today?
Woke up, started doing work, just the basic stuff. Went for a run around like 4, like an afternoon run, which was nice because like it's getting a little bit warmer here, but it's still kind of cool. So t-shirt and just ripped it. 2 miles. Still going on like my plan to do 12 a week right now, while I'm building it. So 2 miles, not that fast, like 7.5 minutes a mile. So I got to improve that a bit, but
That's quick.
but we gotta.
That's pretty quick, man.
Well, one step at a time, right? Ideally, I want to get closer to like the 6-minute mark, but for a 2 mile, right? Because it's pretty short. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I'm not running like.
Yeah, I thought you were training like.
Well,
you're gonna run a marathon
my
at a 6
plans.
mile pace, and I was
my
like, slow
my
down.
plans to
man.
run a half marathon. Because like we have one every year. That's on May 24th. It's so whatever it is. It's 12.5 miles or 12.9 miles or whatever it is. So that one, my goal is to be able to run that distance at like a 7-minute pace. That's the goal. But like a 2-minute or 2 mile run should be close to 6 minutes. Like it should be 12 minutes there and back. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I did that. Then I went to jiu-jitsu and my regular schedule, and then went out for Wing Wednesday, which was fun. Yeah, my buddy's heading out, so it was like, all right, let's do Wing Wednesday, and then we'll see what happens. Now I'm here. You?
Interesting.
What you get up to?
Yep. Similar story on my side. Had some worky stuff. Got a kettlebell workout in. Just doing some swings. As Pavel Tsatsouline said, it's like your swing workouts are like brushing your teeth. 100 swings with a 32 kg, done, out, shower, all good. And then yeah, I hit up some jiu-jitsu after work. Double session, hour gi, second
No-gi?
hour.
I like that. That's a really good way to do it.
Found out pretty quickly that I need to be doing my zone 2 cardio so that I don't bust a lung in that second session. That's what I'm saying. Because,
that's why I started running. I don't know what to do, but
I was.
It's so hard.
This guy had me in. Where did he have me? He had me in mount or side control or something. Anyways, he was putting like just tons of pressure on me, and
it's probably a mount. Is he sitting on your belly?
I was like, I might just have to. I can't even remember, man. I thought I was gonna black out. I thought I was gonna have to tap just from exhaustion. I was like, I can't do that. Luckily, he has something wrong with his arm or something, so I didn't know that. I started tugging on it, and he got all upset. But yeah, it was all good on that front. And that's a good segue for us because actually I don't know if I mentioned this here, but Noah's been training jiu-jitsu, which if you've been paying attention to, about. Coming up on 6, 7, 8 weeks now.
Just finished week 7, so after Saturday we're done 7 weeks. But yeah, week 7 of gi stuff.
Beauty. So coming up on that, and I'm just getting to the end of what you would call week 1. So did my trial class on Thursday, got my membership, and then I've been Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and that's what I want to talk about today. What's something that I would call the process of doing things. Because doing things seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, fair enough.
If I was thinking about, jiu-jitsu right now, look, you go to the trial class, you like it, you don't like it, you sign up, you get your membership, it's all good, and then you just go and train, right? And then 5-6 years down the line, you're a
purple.
I don't know, you're a purple or brown belt, and then like decade plus, you hit black belt, it's all good, you win the ADCC championships, and you're the greatest of all time, right? Except what we know from our favorite New Year's resolutioners is that even if you sign up for the year-long membership at the gym, sometimes you just stop going after month.
Sometimes you stop going after like day 3. I have a friend who did that. He bought, and I looked at him and I was like, "You sure you don't want to go for a 2-week membership?" And he was like, "No, I'll do the month. It'll make me come." 4 days back to back to back to back. Day 5, nothing.
Yeah, so contrary to popular belief, and I think this idea plays out well in your head, right? You're like, okay, if I commit to this, if I put down the money now, then I'll go. Except it doesn't work out that way. So sometimes you don't go and you lose the money, and then you feel like a, pardon my French here, but literally a worthless, which is, it's not a great place to be. It's not where we want to be on Talking Providence, right? We can agree on that?
I can agree on that.
I think there we go. And I think the general phases that I would want to point out here, nothing rocket science like, but just some basics, were phase 1 is usually, okay, things seem pretty good. You go to that first jiu-jitsu class, get a decent workout in, people are nice to you, it's your first class, it's all good, and you're happy. So you keep going a couple times, and then eventually, this will happen with anything, things get hard. So all of a sudden you're not happy with your rate of progress, people are tougher on you, you don't feel as motivated to go, you have nagging injuries, you just don't want to go anymore. And that's the key sort of inflection point there, where at that point you have to decide. You either give up or you keep going. And if you give up, you are screwed. It's done.
Yep.
However, if you keep going, then we all know what happens. Eventually you get out of that rut, things get really good, and you're really happy with it. And for myself, fitness is the one that I'll look back on, where, I tried doing fitness a couple times when I was younger. I never really was able to stick to it. And then one day I signed up, I did it for 3 months, and then I never looked back and never stopped. And it would be strange for me not to do it. So we're at that stage now where it's just a part of my life.
Yeah.
So there are some things to think about there. Yeah. What I would say, and this is important to me, and I do want to point out before we even get started here, that the vast majority of things that I have tried, I have definitely failed at. And when I say fail, I mean like I've tried something and I stopped doing it. So for example, I had a Muay Thai membership after first year university with my buddy Speegs. We went for a month, and then things were going good. It was all good and well. And then, it just got kind of, it was kind of hard to go after work. You got kind of tired, so we just stopped going, and then that was it for Muay Thai. Same thing with boxing. I got into some classes there. Oh, it was all good, and it was fun. And then, the walk was a little bit far, and I stopped going, and it's done. So looking back at those things compared to other success stories, which have been like fitness, which I've already mentioned, I put a lot of work into understanding Microsoft Excel, which is something that I'm happy with on the work side as well, to the point where when I was at Canada Life this summer, I was building out some dashboards and things like that for them, and people were really happy on that front, which is cool.
Yeah.
So looking back, I have a couple wins.
That's all we want.
A couple losses. Now, the truism here, the underlying principle, and I wrote about this week. For all of you who don't know, I actually have a couple different Substack newsletters, but we'll leave the promotional content until the end.
Not a sponsor.
I wrote about this week that it's this mentality that I think Nick Bear coined it, but it's the embrace the suck mentality. And so the general idea or headspace I like to go into when trying something new based off of my failures, and failures being giving up, is that you are going to suck at whatever it is that you try. Expect to suck, embrace the suck, and keep going anyways. So if you set your expectations so low because you're going to suck at something, it's going to be terrible. Think of it, it's going to be like the worst thing ever. Then when you go and you suck, A, you won't be surprised, but B, you'll be happy because it'll probably suck a little bit less than you thought it would. But the point is, we can't be in a situation where we quit because we're bad at something, when being bad at something is how you get good at something. Okay, now we're getting a little bit crossed up. It sounds ridiculous, but that's the whole point, is failure is the prerequisite to success. It's all very corny, but it's true. However, there's another essential principle here, which is that we must have a path to follow. So what do I mean by that? Okay, when I look at everyone who steps into the gym for the first time, when I see the New Year's resolutioners or the college bros just going and working out, what happens is they go in, they have no understanding of the basics of proper weightlifting. They don't understand sets and reps. They don't understand compounds versus isolations. They don't even understand what they're supposed to be doing. They go in and they'll do their curls and whatever. And, they can keep going for a while. They never see any progress. And it doesn't matter how many times they go. They never see anything of real substantive value. They have no idea about nutrition. So what the heck am I getting at here? What I'm getting at is, before you embark on some new type of skill, some new activity, you have to have some kind of program to follow. In BJJ, you go to the classes. That's what you do, okay? You have a great instructor who literally just coaches you. That's his job, to coach you through to become better at the skill. In fitness, look, at the end of the day, I would suggest getting a well-qualified personal trainer who understands, like basic linear progression and the big 4 movement patterns. But barring that, you could also read Starting Strength, which is, in my mind, the manual of strength training for beginners. That's by Mark Ripito. And you read through that and you start training and you follow the principles to a T. The way that I think about this, having a program, having a coach, whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with, having resources to follow, is that creativity comes from competence. I used to say this a lot when I was looking at Excel stuff and Python, which is sometimes you have glimpses of creativity as you follow a program. And what you begin to realize is, once I understand how all of this works, now I can start to put together things that I didn't even know I could do in the first place before. I would have never known, but now I'm putting them together, and, there's compounding going on there. Now we're stepping levels above. You're combining different functions, moves, whatever it is, and things get really freaking good. Another way to think about that is you must learn the rules to break the rules. I think that one comes up in many different areas. I've constantly heard that. So what's the gist of it here is, pick something, start off on a path, then make a decision about what you want to do, what you want to specialize in, where you see it going. But ultimately, you won't be able to decide that until you're competent. Training wheels are necessary, okay? I would love to do this, but, you could send someone out and tell them they need to learn how to ride a bike, but don't give them training wheels and just watch them fall off the bike. I mean, that would be so
it would
entertaining.
be hilarious, but really just ineffective.
The pain of doing that is ridiculous when, okay, we have training wheels and we can actually just teach him how to ride the bike and then he'd be good.
Yeah, and they probably would never try riding a bike again because they're just like, I can't. It hurts. I fall down and I get hurt.
Yeah, that's a great point and brings up another thing to consider here, which is just the concept of progression. I was working through some calisthenics stuff this summer. Okay, when you start calisthenics, you do not start with planche push-ups and front lever rows. Okay, you build up from the most basic progressions to get yourself somewhere. So what I'm saying there is just don't jump into something extremely hard. Don't just jump into a BJJ class and roll as hard as you can. Do not try and build an M&A model the first time you use Microsoft Excel. Just start off with the basics, get the easy wins, keep the ball rolling. Now, there are other things that can help us along too. And these are fun because one thing I noticed coming out of sort of your teenage years and high school into university is people sort of in high school, they have these quirks to their character, these things that they really like and they always talk about and that they're passionate about, and that's just sort of part of being a teen. Like, oh, that guy's really into this, that girl's really into that. And as you get into university, people sort of revert to the mean and, they just want to talk about things that, small talk concepts and, what girl did you see on the weekend and all that kind of stuff. But positive reinforcement that you can do is you can read and educate yourself on the topic. Okay, that's really good. It will reinforce that you like the process of learning and also give you new things to try out. Along those lines, you can watch videos. But the third and my favorite one is just discussing it with friends. Like, be the weird guy who brings up that they train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and how much they're enjoying it and what moves you learned up, and don't care that the people are saying, oh, what the hell, I don't even train this. It's like, you're saying this for you.
Yeah.
Okay? That's cool. That's what your friends are for. Be passionate about something. You're not going to give up if you're out there talking all the time about how you join this boxing gym and you just look forward to boxing every other day and it's awesome and it's the best thing ever. Okay? And look, we will talk behind your back and be like, hey, like this person is like,
he just needs to shut up and stop talking about that.
That's a good thing. Have an edge to you. Have things that you're passionate about and that people will label you with. There's no downside there. Okay, you're not going to scare people off.
Yeah.
Another thing that will help us along is tracking. I know we've talked about tracking a couple times, but caveat here. The type of tracking I'm talking about in this case is less specific than it would be once you're sort of on the actual path. In this case, you want to track the easiest metrics possible. So the best one to do is just track days. Days that you trained, days that you coded, days that you were in Excel, days that I don't even know at this point that you rode your bike.
Days of consistency.
Okay, but just there you go. So you can look back. Look, we're not about building streaks, okay? Like streaks are something, they're fun, but ultimately when you go on the 6-day streak and you can't make it on day 7, I don't want you feeling bad about that because you trained or did something for 6 days, which is awesome. So it's more like, okay, let's find a baseline in here, understand how many times we're actually doing what it is that we said. So at the beginning of the week, say, hey, I'm going to do this 3 times this week, and that's my non-negotiable. And then at the end of the week, you can say, well, did I do it 3 times? Did I not do it 3 times? Why didn't I do it 3 times? What can I do this week to do it 3 times? Whatever. Once you get to 3, maybe you do 4, and it's all good. And this comes down to classic habit formation. 2 prerequisites on habit formation are The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg and Atomic Habits by James Clear. You have to read those 2 books. They're awesome. primer is there's 4 steps to building a habit. Make it obvious, make it easy, make it attractive, make it satisfying. What I'd like to focus on here is just make it satisfying. So a nice thing to do for yourself when you're starting something new is to reward yourself for whatever it is, because then you'll associate that activity with the reward as well. So for example, when I come home and I finish training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I get to eat a huge meal, which makes me really happy. And I associate that big meal, that feeling of fullness and the relaxation that comes after it with training really hard. So even when I look at it day to day and I'm like, oh man, it's going to be such a grind. It's 2 hours. I was like, well, you know what's awesome is I get to eat.
I get
after
food,
which is cool.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Now, of course, and I love this concept. I don't just love it because I came up with it, because technically it was brought up by you in conversation, but you know, it's important to look at the reversal of what's going on here too. So what will break us in this process? What's going to prevent us from achieving our goals here? The first one I'd say is you can't do it all.
Yep.
So what that really just comes down to is when you're deciding to take on something new in your life, you are by default a quote unquote busy person. And all I really mean by that is you have things that fill your time. So anytime you introduce something new, it's going to require sacrifice. So the absolute worst thing that you can do is introduce like 30 new things at the same time. And you can do that within one thing, right? You can join the gym and decide like, oh, I want to become really proficient at cardio training, weight training. I want to be a power lifter and a bodybuilder and run the marathon. And one guy said that he's training BJJ, so let me hop over and do that with him. I want to learn how to code and financial model. And there's this really good cold email mastery course that I want to do at the same time. Freelance writing too. And they're like, like I just crush. And then they just absolutely implode. Okay, so go slow, relax, pick one thing, enjoy the process. It might be a bit slower than you want, but, you know, that old tortoise and the hare thing.
Well, that's the tortoise and the hare is a really good point. Like, just to take a quick sidestep, because that one's literally just the idea of consistency will breed the win, because he just consistently took one step, and the hare sprinted and then stopped.
Yeah, well, you know, people are too literal these days, so they can't appreciate stories like that, which is why I'm huffy.
Yeah, but I love that story. You know, it's just literally just take a step every day and you'll win. Race and then stop and you lose.
It's there you go. It's one step in front of the other. It's a walk. Okay, it's not like Noah's 2-mile runs. You just have to put in the frequency / commitment, and what that comes down to is just track. Just track. How many times did I actually do this week? Hold yourself accountable. Embrace the suck. So that's sort of the end of the spiel on this. However, obviously one question that comes up, it's a question that comes up for myself as well, is, well, what should I do? What do I choose to do? And everything goes back to the pillars, people. That's how we operate, or at least claim to operate, but it's true. Having a skill or target to develop for each pillar is a great starting point. And then you just go from there, right? Obviously, like, some of them aren't as conducive to these type of activities, like within your relationships, for example. Like, I don't want you to go on some like weird course that teaches you how to say hi to your mom and dad without wanting to vomit. Like if you're in that place, then I think therapy might be more important. But like obviously in the fitness one, there's there. In your career, there's there. Huge ones in career. Develop skills all over the place. I was just reading about this today. But as far as having soft skills in your career too, so look into that. Be indispensable. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right. And like the other thing is you have to find, it's a process to find what you're into. Because like you might find something and then you start doing, like if you do two things, you can decide what you want. You know what I mean? Like don't try and just do everything. Because yeah, like I was literally just having this discussion today after my run, because like I've been very consistent, like just pushing to slowly get better at this. And like when I started last week, I went with our editor and like I was trying to keep up with him. And this week he was trying to keep up with me. And it's just the switch of just having a little bit more consistency with things. And that's just a week, which is not to say anything too much, but like there wasn't much of a difference. Now you see just a little bit of a difference. But once you add in consistency, you see more and more and more. And like I'm not doing running by any means to be able to run a marathon. I'm doing it solely to be able to go like 3 rounds without being dead of jiu-jitsu. Like that's the only goal. But you know, might as well have like a smaller goal, like I'll be good enough to run that much. Like it doesn't need to be fast. I'm not trying to win with running, but it's a sub goal, but it's really only pushing to one thing that I'm trying to do. Like if I missed a day of running, it's not that I don't care. It's just I'm not progressing as fast as I could with my main goal. But if I miss a day of jiu-jitsu, now I'm kind of moving backwards.
And I like what we're getting at here, because one of the most important aspects of developing a skill, or I mean, call it what you want, but when you have a purpose, then everything else you do within the context of that purpose literally becomes important. So Tim Ferriss talks about just in case versus just in time information. I read a lot, okay? And I read books about business, I read books about psychology, I read books about all kinds of things. I have never gotten more out of books than when they've been directly related to something I'm actually doing, because without the application, you just don't
you're
get
just
everything
shooting
out
blind,
of it,
right?
We talk about this. Yeah, exactly. And also the amount of passion and fire up that you get when you actually read something and you go, oh man, I gotta do that at class tomorrow. I gotta put this in my training program. Oh, I gotta try the sales tactic out at work tomorrow. Oh man, I'm gonna try this with my model. That's a financial model, not literal model.
We know you're not dating the model right now. Didn't you dump her?
Yeah, so low blows on the podcast. Actually, she got a guest or a reference on one of the articles that I wrote on index investing.
Really?
Which is pretty funny. But yeah, so that's cool. And I'll give you an example there. So I've always thought about writing.
Yep.
I read a lot. I think reading's awesome. I love my reading habit, but ultimately, and this podcast is a part of that. Ultimately, I thought, you know what? I want to produce, because I know how important that is. I've seen the relationship between training and education about training. I think the natural thing here is you read and you write. It just sounds good, okay? So one of the things I did was I picked up a book, and it's called, where is it? I don't remember what it's called right now. I believe it's called The Art
of the Deal. The Art of the Deal.
Hold on a second. No, we're not reading Trump's book. It's called The Art and Business of Online Writing.
That's close enough.
So guess what? I read it from
Yeah.
cover to cover. It's a complete guide to writing online. And then you know what I did? I started writing online. And you know what I'm going to keep doing? Referencing the book, because I need a path. Because if I just let my mind ramble on, I'm just going to write about anything in whatever format, it's a disaster. You don't understand why things are working. You don't understand why things aren't working. You need the path.
Yeah, the path is key.
That's a beautiful example right there. Another beautiful example is on the process part is doing this podcast right now. Doing this podcast sucks. Now, do I have a lot of fun talking to Noah? Of course I do. But me and him talk to each other regardless. And we talk about these kind of things. And if you don't have friends that you can talk to these kinds of things about, then you need new friends, or you need to develop those relationships with your friends. But anyways, getting back to the point, and some of our Spotify struggles is that there's like a lot of pain and admin that goes into this that we have to work on. But the point is like, you just got to show up, right? We're doing it right now. It's episode 4. We're doing it live in front of your eyes. So before you accuse me of making up all my experiences, just think about what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, no. And it's really important to have, like, the thing is you're talking about, right? That the purpose and why you read. It's like, well, how can you write? Well, I can write down garbage because I don't know anything. But nobody's going to read that. And it's not like I'm necessarily writing things for people to read. But you want to write in a way that's intentional and that people might want to pick up and read and learn something about the way you were thinking. And the only way to be able to write something that's worthwhile is to know things. The only way to know things is to learn things, right? Or to experience things. And the only way to do that is by doing stuff. And one of your things is reading, because reading's a really good one, because people write down what they did, what they've learned, and then you can learn from them. So that's a really interesting way to think about it. Like, if you want to get better at anything, like jiu-jitsu is like a really good one to have, is to start doing yoga. So I started doing yoga, like, I've only done it like twice a week for the last week and a half. So, but I've noticed like substantial improvement just in 4 times I've done it now. And it just makes you like so much more loose. And like, you're sitting there just practicing how to like open up and stretch that muscle. And it's like 30 minutes a day. Like, ideally I'd want to do it probably 4 or 5 times a week just to really improve. But that's one of those goals that I got to work into it, because I generally like to go to the gym in the morning, and right now my yoga schedule is in the morning, which is not bad. It's just getting up just a little bit earlier to go and stretch and then go to the gym. But it's all with the intention of one thing, right? It's to get better at a specific goal, which is to, not lose and to be able to start competing with jiu-jitsu. Another thing I was thinking about with you, especially with your jiu-jitsu, is you also have the reason to not quit is when I come and see you, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to die every time. So like, you have the fight or flight kind of, I either run or I just keep going. And, that's a good motivator. Like me, I did it with my brother. That's how we started doing it. And now his goal is to kind of get like really, really good and start learning other disciplines as well. But like, really just do the whole mixed martial arts is the goal, not just jiu-jitsu. But my thought is, well, if he's going to do it like really intensely, I need to be able to like not die and be able to take him to the ground and be able to somewhat compete. You know what I mean? So that was that one. Now I got you, so it's now I got to fight 2 people. And also I want to start competing now. So that's where the new drive. But the passion that you get when you want to talk about something is really important. Because like you're reading and like the books you read, if they weren't of any value to you, you wouldn't see any reason to tell somebody else, right? Because the passion comes from the perceived value that you get. So like I tell people a lot about like getting healthier, eating better, working out, fitness, jujitsu, like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's because I see like actual tangible benefit to this area of my life that I'm like, I would like to tell you about it because I think you'd like to see, you know what I mean? It's like this kind, it's like the idea of like Christianity and missionaries. Like they want to tell you about it and like they want to spread the gospel, which is like the good news, right? And like they have all that passion behind it because they have experienced something to make, you know what I mean? So that's really what does it with everything. And it's, if it's not of worth in your opinion, then you generally aren't going to talk to people about it. And if it's not in worth to your opinion, I mean, if it's not of worth in your opinion, then you're going to stop doing it. That was a bit of a rant, but
that's
you know,
the truth. Well, no, it's a good rant too, and I'll throw it down to some sales stuff as well, because what you see there is
that's a really easy one to connect, right? If you don't see the value in your product that you're selling, if you don't think that you're actually, I'm not gonna say anything that you might say. I'll talk after.
I think we're
we have
the
same
thing
yeah
here, but all before you hijack me. Anyways,
I'm
it's
sorry.
It's you may be able to close that product for X amount of time, but eventually you're gonna wake up and you're not gonna want to sell it anymore. Why not? Because you don't believe in it, and people can hear in your voice when you're actually passionate about something, when you actually believe in something. Look, we're humans, okay? We have these weird mechanisms that are in place. I don't know if they're primal or what it is, but you can just tell when people are BSing you or not, which is also why there's a huge difference between being like preachy about something and then just like exuding energy about a topic and being like, oh my god, you need to do this. Don't be preachy. Don't tell people to do things
that you're not gonna do,
that you're not actively doing, that you've not done in the past, that you don't want to do. Like
boys, start boys and girls, start a podcast.
Well, I was gonna say it's a fine line that we try and walk here too, right? Because we have topics that we are excited to talk about. Ultimately, I'd never want to be in preachy land where I'm saying, oh, like you should live your life X, Y, Z this way. It's like everything that I'm trying to say is, well, this is my idea on this. This is what we're doing. It seems to be working out. Give this a shot.
And like, but we'll also have other kind of dialogue as well, because like there's areas of my life that I'd like to be improving, that I'm actively not doing anything right now, and I'll probably discuss those because, you know, you and I have these discussions regularly, but might as well, you know, if you can give some insight to me, maybe you'll give some stuff to other people, and you actively are doing things that I'd like to improve on, and we can talk theoretically about things I should be doing, and then when I come back to talk about it, it'll be, did it work? Did I do it? And then you'll be able to tell right from the way I'm talking about it, right?
Yeah, and I just remembered something, which is good, because I saw a tweet the other day. It was a tweet. It was a good tweet. And it was this guy who was saying that he has nothing on his calendar as far as daily non-negotiables, except the only one is that he sends out 3 cold emails every day. And he just talks to people in industries or niches that he's interested in via cold emails. And look, when you look at something like that, at first it always seems like, oh man, like who the heck wants to talk to me, and It's going to be so stupid. But along the lines of being genuinely interested, actually wanting to learn, people are very receptive. So if you want to take this one step further and solidify yourself with some real fire to keep doing whatever it is you're doing, go talk to people who are experts in it. It's not that hard. My favorite example is I was interested in learning a little bit more about the private debt markets and like mid-market private equity scene, and I just messaged a managing partner at a firm that does strictly mid-market PE. We set up a call. We talked about it for an hour. He was very happy. He gave me great career advice. It was all good. Expect nothing in return. And that's beautiful, because when you look at people around you, when you look at your parents and your family, your peers, there are people who are doing things that you're potentially interested in. And if you just ask them, they'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. And the advantage of doing that over reading something like a book is you come with specific questions. You
get specific answers.
They'll hit you with specific answers. There you go. That's the beauty. You don't need to mine through chapters and chapters of a book to find something that quasi answers. Okay, this is what I'm interested in. You're one phone call away from getting it. If I got a real estate question, my grandfather and my two uncles, they do real estate all day long. One call away. That's it. I'm not going to read a full book on something when it's just one question. That's the rant.
But like that makes sense, right? It's the most efficient way. And like, not to like divert this way, but like, you and I have had like long discussions about stuff that I don't really want to go and try and figure out a game plan based on some research or winging it. It's like, I'll talk to you, I'll ask you very specific questions and get very specific answers. But my favorite, and it still resonates with me today, that you started and you said to me, is when you were telling me about your dad, when you just said, pick up the phone and call. Like, that's the only way to really do these things, right? You want to gain knowledge, you want to gain experience. It might not be picking up the phone and calling somebody. It might be get up and go. But, like, you just have to go and do it. You have to I want to learn, I don't even know, like, something basic that, like, I don't want to learn, but somebody might. Like, I want to learn how to jump rope. All right, we'll grab a rope and see where your baseline is. And then you can see what you need to improve on, and then you can just start jumping. Yep.
You set like 5 minutes a day aside at first.
The thing is, another thing that's really, really important, you touched on this at the beginning, and I wanted to come back to it, is because I actually had this discussion today, is where you start at. That's like a big one, because people will start where they want to be or where they think they are. And it's important to understand you need to start where you are, not where you think you are, where you are. Like I'll go with my one, because as we're discussing, it's like things we're passionate about, things we've seen work. So when my initial plan was never to get like athletically in shape or whatever, it was just to lose weight. So I started with food. It's like, well, how do you lose that? The best way to do it is proper nutrition. So like 3 months. And then it's like, now you're lighter. Now I'm starting to see a bit of a plateau there. I need to start increasing the output. So I started swimming. Then I realized, oh, like I actually enjoy doing exercise every day. But I started swimming like 3 days for the first week, 4 days the second week, 5 days. And then it was like 5 days. And then I tried 2 days of the gym. And for that week, and then 3 days of the gym, 4 days of the gym, and now it's just like perpetual. But then you're in such good shape that you're like, wow, I can do some other things. Then you don't mind going to jiu-jitsu and trying it. And I'm not saying that you have to start jiu-jitsu when you're in shape, but like my mentality changed. So like now it's like, oh, I can run. Running's not hard. it's hard for some people. And like if you asked me 6-7 months ago, I'd be like, no, I'm not going for a run. I can maybe run 5 minutes and that's it, and it'd be very slow, and I'd maybe go 250 meters. Like I don't know how far I could have ran, but I know I wouldn't be able to run that far. But if I started day one 7 months ago, right, 265 pounds, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go on a 2-mile run. All right, like maybe I can just mentally push myself to run very slowly through it, like just basically just jogging. Day 2 is gonna roll around and I might get it, but I might not. You know what I mean? And like that's a really important one, like with everything, right? Because you don't know what your goal is going to be, because they change, right? Every 3 months or so, you kind of change who you are. You got to reevaluate. You don't want to sit there and say, oh yeah, I have a 10-year plan, and right now this is what it's going to be, and then I just follow that exact plan for 10 years. Because we grow, we change, we adapt. If your 10-year plan is to be the exact same, then one, that's a stupid plan, or maybe not stupid, but like actually no, I'm gonna double down. It's a very stupid plan. But if your goal is to be anywhere better, even 1% better in 10 years, well, as you start getting better, at halfway point at 5 years, you're gonna be 0.5% better or whatever. If you do it linearly, but at that point you're going to be better, so you're probably going to want to have a slightly better goal for your 10-year plan, or I guess it's 5-year plan now. So that's something to consider, right? Is where you think you are and where you actually are. Like don't try to overdo anything. Right now I'm really very selective with what I'm doing. Like I was toying with the idea of doing Muay Thai just because I was like, oh, it could be fun, but then I was like, no, I don't want to put another thing on my plate right now. I want to get my schedule sorted. Like work now coming into a better balance. It's like a slower season, so cutting back just a little bit, just to like, I don't need to push as hard. When summer rolls around, like, I sell alcohol, so summertime is like really like, 50, 60 hour kind of week at least. But now it's like it's a little easier. We're just prepping. We're getting ready for that. So now I have the time, but it's like, well, what do I want to do? I really want to focus on what I need to do for my current goal, which is jiu-jitsu, which if you asked me 3 months ago, I'd say, what? Like, there's no way I'm going to be doing that. I just want to be working out right now.
Yep. Building confidence, doing things, proving to yourself that you can follow a schedule gives you the right to add on more things. And along those lines, we talked about it last week, but prioritize and execute being the Jocko Willing special. So yeah, you're a big boy. You can make your own decisions and realize that, hey, if jiu-jitsu is my primary one and I want to train Muay Thai, it's going to look like this. Or if jiu-jitsu is my primary, the running's going to look like this.
Exactly.
As we go in circles here. Now, I think we did pretty well. What do you think?
I think so. I think we had a good discussion because, we were both doing it, right? Actually, let me go back to the initial point. I'm pretty sure you had knee on belly on you because when I was learning this, my coach was telling me, he was like, yeah, there's this one guy in the UK who would make black belts pass out just by the amount of pressure he would put on. Like not tap out, pass out. Like he would just put his knee on their chest and just before he even started doing stuff, they would just be like about to pass out and then they would just pass out. So like, yeah, I actually heard it was probably knee on belly if you're like that, that gassed or like in that much pain.
Guys with I was also cardiovascularly wrecked, but guys with like vicious amounts of top pressure, like there's this dude Dean Lister who apparently like Jocko was talking about. He's like, I like never felt anything like that in my life. When this guy's on top of you, like you literally just feel like you're gonna die. I do. You're still recording, right? Okay, cool. I do want to float an idea to you.
I like the idea of that.
About. So, I guess it's similar to the format that we're doing right now. What it would be is after the one person presents. So one person picks a topic, they go through, this is what I was thinking. We could keep that format where you're talking about something. Another one would be an argument format, where one person tries to build a persuasive argument on a topic. The case for why weightlifting should be
outlawed.
Everybody
should be skinny, I swear.
The core.
Nobody should have any real muscles, and then it's just genetics.
But there you go, something like that. So in the first case, the person then, if it's more of an explanatory sort of open concept, then we do what we did today. So the person asks questions, clarifications, they add on comments, and it's all good. But in the other case, with the argument, one person presents a persuasive argument, and the other person just tries to tear it down.
What if I agree with you? This is my day-to-day life. Like, somebody will say something that I agree with, and generally it's my mom. And it would be just like actually no, crazy one. Not like I really care about U.S. politics, but my uncle was at like our Christmas, or no, it was my birthday party in October, and he was just like complaining about Joe Biden. And like, my initial reaction is to just become the biggest Joe Biden supporter ever in like this argument, which is funny if you like. I couldn't care less, but I do lean more to the other side. But it was just really funny. I was just hitting him with everything that I know is full of like nothing that he would say, because I say it to people I know don't know anything. Like, oh yeah, Trump gave, he reduced taxes. He cut red tape on things. And you just lead with that, and like nobody questions it. But I would just be like, yeah, what did he cut the red tape on? Oh yeah, but like you're not gonna see if that's good or not. And it's just like it started pissing him off. But I felt bad after it. But I was just so bored that I was just like, this is what I'm gonna do. But I do it with everything now.
See, but this would be a more innocent way of doing that, where it's like the point is I'm trying to present something to you that's as comprehensive as possible in my mind that I put together.
I'm trying to make you defend your thesis, basically. Like, so when I was in high school, before I dropped out, oh yeah, no, I should have put that on there. But when I was in high school,
Jake,
yeah. But anyway, when I was in high school, I'll put a note at that. I did these rhetoric courses where basically it was like the art of public discussion, but there was part of it where it was literally just you have to do different kind of speeches. One that people don't agree with. One that's like you have to defend a case, and it's like if you don't have strong points, if you don't have any passion behind it, it's hard to defend it. So when you just get randomly assigned in a debate, you are, defending this thing. It's like, oh shoot, like I don't actually agree with it at all. So I got to find some reason. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that building on that is like most of the things that we discuss, for the most part, mass majority of things, we're going to agree on, at least to, a large extent. However, you can pick apart sort of like logical fallacies that occur within there. It's like, well, you're arguing this for this reason. However, why can't you just do this and this? And you say, oh, well, bang, bang, bang. Anyways, that's just some thoughts.
Yeah, I like that. I like throwing it in
Um,
as like maybe a segment or something, or like we do it as a couple, 10 episodes or something. See how it works.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that would be very fun. But, it looks like that's all the time we have for tonight, Noah.
What are...
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Goes by so
next
quickly.
time, or this will come out, on Friday? Then the next week... Yeah, I'll think of something. It'll be fun. I think we'll just do the non-argument one.
Yeah, that's cool.
We'll talk about something fun, but after that, we'll probably stick in a little debate session, defend your case, make a decision, on what you want to talk about, and then fully be able to back it up. Cool. This went well. I think we covered the incremental growth and like not biting off more than you can chew when you want to do something, and not pushing yourself more than you should. I think that's really the key takeaways from this one, is understanding that you have to have a purpose for what you want to do, and then you need to make sure you incrementally grow it and not try and shoot the moon every single time you do something, because that's going to just lead to failure. Tortoise in the hair. Tortoise in the hair.
Tortoise in the hair. And it's the entire embrace the suck mentality when trying new things, because new things suck to do. That's the point. You get good by not being good. Where can our lovely listeners find us?
Well, you're gonna be watching this on YouTube, or you're listening on, when we fix this, on Spotify or Apple Play Podcasts. I don't think there's any other services that we'd be listing it on, but if there are, I'll let you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I would say. I'd say if any of you want to donate to our Patreon so that I can afford sleeves, that would be lovely. Aside from that, you can catch us on the Twitter too.
Also, if Whoop wants to find us, we are looking for a Whoop sponsorship.
We are still looking for the coveted Whoop sponsorship. Aside from that, the Substack is probably going to be going down to this week, because that's important. Give you some show notes, let you cut through some of the rambling nonsense that goes on.
Yeah, generally you're just listening to AJ at this point.
Formulate our thoughts and ideas in an even more comprehensive manner, delivered directly to your inbox.
Yeah.
Saturday mornings.
Also, we're going to try... Yeah, Saturday morning would be a great one for that. Because then you just read it before you go in, yard sale or whatever you do. But we're also going to start working on the Twitter, because I think that we need to start boosting that, getting that one.
Yeah, I just need the handles, then I can just tweet back and forth from my account to the Providence account.
Cool. I just haven't gotten the habit of Twitter. That's the problem. Because I've never used it as my own personal life, so just not used to checking it, not used to going on it, not used to posting anything.
Special shout out to our two dedicated listeners, Luke Visconti and my mom, Karen. Thanks for listening and supporting us.
We appreciate it.
And for any new faces, you too can get a shout out at the end of an episode. Just send us a message on Twitter.
Or you can find
the email.
AJ's Facebook and spam him there.
Don't find me on Facebook. All right. I appreciate everyone.
Always a pleasure. Talk to you later.